All right. So,
Hi.
Sarah, hey, good evening. So, I'm Barry, product marketer lead at Demostack. If you've not heard of Demostack, so Demostack empowers everyone, including partners, to deliver custom, reliable, and up-to-date demos to accelerate revenue growth. I met Sarah, I think, nearly a year ago after she became a Demostack customer, and it's been great to watch her journey from the sidelines. I think it's been really fun to see and also hear about stories I actually never heard about for specific product market motions or and go to market motions. I don't know really anyone else who could actually even deliver this type of webinar. So I'm really excited to have Sarah, where we're going to today talk about CYREBRO's transition to indirect sales and the 5 main building blocks for them to build that channel marketing and channel sales enablement program that Sarah built with her team. And yeah, so Sarah, maybe you could take a few minutes and introduce yourself.
Sure. So thanks for having me. Like Barry said, I have been happily working with Demostack for about over a year now. So I was happy to join and kind of share whatever I can about the kind of transition from direct to indirect go to market. So I'm the head of product marketing and channel marketing at CYREBRO. I've been at CYREBRO about 3 years, and I've worked in and around kind of high tech startups for about 10 years now, focusing on really building product marketing functions from the ground up, and hopefully to be able to scale. So that's me.
Awesome. And maybe can you tell us a little bit about CYREBRO, where you've been for 3 years?
Sure. So CYREBRO is a managed detection and response solution. We leverage AI and ML to deliver advanced precision threat detection and rapid incident response. Our unique angle as compared to our competitors is that we have an interactive SaaS platform that allows our end users to engage with their threat investigations in the CYREBRO platform, the ones that we perform. And they can communicate directly with their security teams, our security team in the platform. So that also is very much why we use a tool like Demostack, because we have a great platform that we really want to showcase, first and foremost.
Awesome. And I assume it's cyber software.
Yes. Yep. Cybersecurity.
All right, perfect. That's part of a blue background branding with cyber. Cool. So thanks for the background. I just also want to remind everyone here, one, tell us where you're located and throw out where you're located. But also, if you have any questions for Sarah, I'll be looking at the chat throughout, and our moderators in the green room will also be helping with the chat. So feel free to ask questions that we can try to, hey Dan, outside Washington, that we can answer even during the presentation. I think it's will be really interesting. So let's start with CYREBRO's transition to indirect sales from direct sales. How did that start, and how were you involved?
Yeah. So it doesn't happen overnight. And there definitely are a lot of lessons learned along the way that I'll share. We started the transition about 2 years ago. So generally in the market, cybersecurity companies are increasingly moving towards a channel-focused approach, especially in North America. And our target audience, which is largely SMBs, so we also have enterprise customers as well, they utilize what's called managed service providers or managed security service providers, so MSPs or MSSPs. These service providers take care of their IT and security needs instead of the company needing to manage it and supply it in-house. So really the way to connect with our target audience is through these MSSPs who are channel partners. And so that essentially led us to our kind of channel first go to market.
Cool. And then and you're a product marketer, as am I. How is our jobs different, considering that your motion is indirect sales and we work mostly with direct sales?
Yeah, it was definitely a learning experience. Like I said, I was brought on at CYREBRO because of my experience in product marketing. And we quickly understood that channels was going to be a major, if not, which it now is the full focus in terms of our business model. So it was definitely kind of a learning process, like I said. And I quickly grew to manage channel marketing as well. So when the company decided to be 100% channel focused, it meant from a marketing standpoint, we needed to review our entire marketing strategy and rebuild it kind of from the ground up. Things like, from a product marketer standpoint, having a defined ICP, your ideal customer profile, that helps you define kind of the messaging and the segmentation, the use cases, pain points, all of those things. We basically needed to revisit everything, recreate the ICP, and duplicate it for partners. So, a product marketing standpoint, you need to still do the segmentation, customization, assets, but now essentially you're doing it twice. So you've got your end users and you've got your partners. So you're selling through partners to end users. So it's essentially like doubling the everything you're doing. So
Yeah. Well, product marketers don't have that enough work anyways, so might as well just double it, you know? So,
definitely.
okay, so maybe before we start into the presentation, maybe you could tell us some of the first steps, like how you began, things like that.
Yeah. So before we even get in, like you said, to the building blocks that I would recommend any company looking to do this would have this as their kind of initial first steps. We really wanted to understand like what what are we doing? Because the company was selling direct for a number of years. So it was really like take a look in the mirror. Who are we? And where do we need to fill in the gaps? The first thing I would recommend doing, the first thing we did is bringing in people who know this area. We hired a very experienced channel marketing manager pretty quickly on. She's been pivotal in understanding like what the partners want, how do they work, what motivates them, how do we speak to them, as well as we did kind of a bit of outside consulting as well to kind of review our business plans and go to markets and understand, okay, what do we need to add both to our marketing and our sales force in terms of, personnel and expertise, as well as processes and, operations, to make sure that we have the foundation set up. So I would say surround yourself with people who know what they're doing before you start, you jump headfirst into this.
Love that. Okay, great. So I think we could start sharing the slides. I think if someone is listening also um, that already has a partner program, this is a great time to revisit some of those foundations, I would say.
Yeah.
If they're the foundations, then even more so, more important after you're live, to kind of like do that reset. Sarah, do you need us to screen share, or would you like to
Yeah.
screen
If you
share?
can share, that'd be good.
Okay, cool. Let me grab that. All right, here we go. All right, can you see the screen?
Mhm.
There it is. All right, perfect. So, so we talked about the transition to indirect sales. Now we're going to do the 5 blocks for a channel program.
Yeah. So, for kind of channel enablement or from a channel program perspective, we understood there's 5 areas that are really important to cover. It's this checklist that you've got to have these things no matter who we talk to. They would ask us the same 4 or 5 questions in order to really build like a scalable channel program to enable our partners to sell our product. So the first place, and the product marketer will recognize this, I mentioned it before, is defining your IPP or your ideal partner profile. So you need to know who your ideal partner type is. There's a lot of different types of partners out there. You have big distributors that work kind of globally across markets. You've got value added resellers. You have the MSSPs and MSPs that I mentioned. So you've got a lot of different partners. So you want to identify who is the one that's really going to fit both kind of your solution, your service, your product, whatever you're offering, as well as will help you reach the customers that you want to reach. So identifying them and creating those personas like you would do with your target audience, your end user, helps you then you segment and you kind of customize depending on the different personas within that partner profile, decision makers, influencers, the day-to-day users. And then you start building out, what are their goals, what are their pain points, and the messaging for these partners. But an important thing to do is also understand, how does your product or service fit into their portfolio of offerings? How do they benefit from selling CYREBRO? Because at the end of the day, they're also a business. And as great as your product or solution is, it needs to fit within the other suite of solutions they're offering to their customers. So that was really, really critical. So developing the messaging to target partners and help them attract prospects, as well as help them sell to their existing clients, is really important. And this is a key to step 3, as a little teaser, to developing step 3 of this channel enablement success plan. So we'll put it.
Love it. I love that line. Like, how do they benefit? Like, this is usually things that we think about our customers, but we have to think about for the partners. How do they
Right.
benefit? Because they could probably use a competitor or an indirect competitor. How can I get to
Mm-hmm.
know them and get that attention? Love that.
Definitely.
Cool. We'll go with slide 2.
Yeah. So the second part is training your partners as an extension of your sales team. So you need to start thinking that your sales force, your sales organization has just not even doubled, but it's grown exponentially. When you start thinking of the sales people in your partners organizations as your sales team, it will help you kind of start to visualize and map what you need to do and how to enable them. But in order to do that, you really need to have what I call is like a strong sense of self, because you're no longer, as a product marketer or channel enabler, you're no longer just explaining to your own internal sales team the value proposition and how we define ourselves and the mission and all of the use cases. You need to then share it twofold, threefold, to an audience that is not in your organization, and they're sometimes a few degrees away from you as well. So it's so important to know, what is our value proposition, what is the messaging we use, what don't we use, what are our differentiators, and then communicate it to your partners, and not just once or twice, but regularly. So we created a partner training program where we have like an LMS, or a learning management system, where we have a technical training and a sales training currently, and sort of a small marketing training. Because basically, you want an onboarding process for them where they come in and they immediately start learning about your product or service. They need to know how to sell your solution, how to use your product, how to demo, everything that you would train your own sales org. And you need to have it in a place that's kind of centralized and easy for them to access. So we set up a process of, videos for them to go through with quizzes, and they actually get a, CYREBRO certified partner certificate after, to show that they are then ready to sell, and then to do regular updates like you would your sales team. So if there's feature releases or product updates, to do regular webinars and communication, to not just communicate to your sales org what the updates are, but the partners need to know, how am I selling this new feature? What's the benefit to my users or prospects? So that's really, really critical, and it's challenging because you've now added a few more concentric circles to the people that you need to be speaking to. So letting go of control is something that I had to learn to do. You're not going to be able to control everything that the partner is saying to their prospects, what they're saying in sales calls. You're not going to have insight to a lot of that, those communications. So the more you can give them, and the more clear you can be in who you are and how your product benefits their clients, the more they're going to use what you give them, and not, kind of improvise on their own. So it's important, but it's learning to let go a little, which for marketing can be kind of tricky, but it
It's,
is a good
it's a
practice.
balance, right? That's part of like this balance of uh, what you're used to, like things that you can control. You can listen to that gong call. You can listen to, and you can say, oh, maybe here's a better way to sell better. And now you're just getting, with partners specifically, there's a lot of lack of visibility. from a data perspective and definitely
Yeah,
from a demo perspective. So
definitely.
that makes a lot of sense. We'll go to the next slide. Cool.
Okay. So this is what I referred to before. So you are now doubling up on your sales enablement materials. All of the kind of the IPP or the personas that you created for your partners and that you obviously have for your end users as well. You now need to create materials to sell to your partners and then sell through your partners to your end users. So you take all that messaging and you start creating the collateral that in product marketing we're very familiar with, your brochures, one pagers, sales decks, anything and everything. Um, so the I would say even before you do that, you need to communicate the marketing guidelines to the partners. So you're going to be giving them, brochures to sell, for example, to sell CYREBRO, but we want to maintain some kind of brand consistency and brand identity, because it's still important to have brand awareness for our company even if we're selling indirectly. So in our training, like I said, we also have marketing guidelines. So here are the logos that you can use, here are the images, here's the messaging, and a lot of partners will take that and create their own collateral, and they'll create even web pages and whole websites based on your product. So as kind of just a anecdote, I've seen like a whole range of different websites that partners have created for to sell CYREBRO. They're basically taking your solution and they're putting it within their suite of or their portfolio of offerings, and then they're putting their messaging on top of it because at the end of the day that service provider is the one selling, so it needs to come from them. But I have seen partners who will, like, down to the last little bit of HTML code, they've copied our website completely. It was amazing. And then translated it to Spanish, Portuguese, German. And we've seen the other end where they have our brand colors are kind of like a teal and a blue and a purple, and they have made websites showcasing CYREBRO with orange and yellow and red and using all sorts of images that they found online. So like I said, you have to let go of control a little bit, but the more guidance and guidelines you give them, um, the better, because you do want to maintain that brand consistency. So then, like I said, you need to create all of these sell to and sell through materials. So you're selling to the partners. Your first real client or kind of end user is the partner. You need to convince the partner why they should partner with your organization. What are the benefits from a sometimes commercial standpoint? Um, what's the value? What are they going to get at the end of the day, the bottom line, by partnering with your organization? So you create partner program brochures, and partner recruitment decks and all of those materials. Once you've got them signed and onboarded, you're then giving them the sell through materials, which is, like I said, the brochures for end users with the different use cases, case studies, all of that. So it's a lot more content and assets that you need to start developing and creating this machine to produce it. And then you need to localize it. So you might have partners in lots of different regions, and the benefit is that those partners are more local and they are speaking to the customers directly in the not literal language, but sometimes literal language that they exist in. So we have partners in North America, in Latin America, in EMEA, APAC, all over the world. So we try to localize as much as possible, because we're still maintaining messaging and brand consistency and everything. But you lose a little bit of it along the way. I've seen assets come back in all sorts of languages, but the more you give them, the better. The partners, they really are hungry for sales materials and anything you'll give them to help sell. So the more you can localize, the more they're actually going to leverage it.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like if you see someone localizing something, that means that they want to partner with you.
Yeah,
Like if they're trying at least.
definitely.
I had a question with regards to localization specifically, and this is like a go-to-market question. If your product isn't localize? So like, let's say your product is only in English.
Yeah.
Does it make sense for companies to sell in the given language of their country? What have you seen in that?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's really case by case, but for example, our platform at this very moment is only in English. We do have support in multiple languages. We have salespeople and channel managers, CSMs in different regions who speak the local languages. Um, but at this very moment, the platform is in English. I would say a lot of cybersecurity tools maintain a lot of English regardless. But I will say with AI, it is much easier to kind of leverage the AI for translation. So we actually are in the process of, I don't want to make, I'm sure there's probably not any CYREBRO clients on this call, but I'm not making any promises, but we are, in the process of localizing and translating all of the platform itself. So investigation summaries that you would get them in your language. Any like mitigation steps to remediate against cyber threats, you would get them in your local language. Um, so it's not exactly the answer to your question, but it is something that we're starting to see, last year and this year that's going to help. Um,
You heard it here first. Localization
yeah, the
for
more
Cyberpro.
the more the better. But it is a challenge, and it's also about setting expectations with the partners that they will have some materials localized as much as possible, especially when you're not a huge company. CYREBRO is still a startup, so we do what we can. But I think having support in their language, support teams in their language has been super beneficial. So you do as much as you can.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes it that makes sense. Well, anyways, if there's any listeners here and you want to have your own press release in a live webinar with Demostack, please let us know.
Oh boy,
Talk about
getting myself in trouble.
it. um, all right, cool. I thought that was super interesting. So thanks for sharing that. Let's talk about partner portals.
Yeah. So this is the big one. This is if you talk to anyone, you talk to a partner, anyone who's experienced in the growing a partner program, they ask, do you have a partner portal? There's a lot of reasons that you need a partner portal. But essentially, you want to have a central place for all things channels. Remember that your channel partners are not internal employees in your company. So they won't have access to whether you have G Suite or Microsoft 365 with SharePoint. They're not going to have access to those repositories. So you want to create a place where they can get all of the collateral, any news updates. It's really important that they're able to register and track deals. I think that was the first thing we built is we did like an in-house site that was just for deal registration. So the partners, they want to be sure that if they're bringing in leads and they're bringing in new clients throughout that sales cycle, they want that deal to be kind of protected and registered to them, meaning they're not going to be competing with other partners for that client. So it's really important to have a place for deal registration. It's also important that you as a vendor is able to see what your pipeline is with partners because they also don't have access to whether your CRM, whether your Salesforce or whatever else you're using. They don't have Salesforce users. So you're not seeing leads that they're generating and you're not seeing opportunities coming in and activity. So when they register a deal, you can start tracking that. You can start understanding the pipeline that a partner is building. You can understand if they are an active partner. It's really critical to be able to measure if your partners are active or not. Some partners get really excited and they start and they're going to sell. They're going to bring a lot of deals, and then after 3 months, crickets. You've got nothing. So it's a really important way to be measuring the activity of your partners and know who you want to enable further. Who do you want to give marketing budget to? Who do you want to do webinars with? Who are you going to help help them grow their business? So the partner portal is really critical for that. It's also where you can put your training. How's your training? Currently, our training is in a separate application, but I hope at some point we can consolidate and put them in one place. We have our onboarding process built out of the partner portal. remember again that these are not part of your internal company. So they're not getting all of these, they're not going through the onboarding process to learn about your company. So you need to make sure that from the day that the partner signs the agreement and they start building that relationship, that you have a process for them to learn about the organization and learn how to sell. We teach them how to sell CYREBRO, how to, walkthroughs of the platform, how to demo. So we built up an automated process so that there are certain triggers and there are certain steps, and that after 90 days, we expect a partner to go through that onboarding process and we can actually track it in the partner portal. So you're seeing them bring in deals, but you're also seeing them complete trainings, and you're seeing them, access different assets and download, brochures or, other knowledge related materials. So this was definitely we had a lot of friction with the partner portal. Like I said, the first one we built was in-house, but it was difficult for us to kind of grow and manage that. So we ended up going to a third party provider, and then had that for about a year. And then last year decided to consolidate further and build it on top of Salesforce. So we have built and rebuilt partner portals constantly. And I would say that to learn from our mistake is to choose a product, or a partner portal that's going to scale with your business. Choose one that integrates with your CRM, that has the option to house all of your sales collateral, that can connect to your training platform if you use an external one, that can track onboarding. So, and as you scale and hopefully bring in more partners, choose one that isn't going to charge you a hefty fee for adding in more users, because you don't want to be limited to the number of users. You want anyone and everyone in the partner organization to be able to access what you've built. So really being careful about choosing the right solution, not just for right now, but for the future, is something that we learned the hard way. But, that's a part of the fun, I guess. So yeah, the partner portal is critical.
Cool. I think I'll now move to a topic that's dear to me for
Yeah.
some reason. It's not because the word demo is in on my shirt, but it's the demo environment. I think I'm going to stop screen sharing and ask you some of the questions so we can have it more face to face. But as I mentioned earlier, Sarah and I met after Sarah became a customer of Demostack. Up until now, I've learned so much. Demos, I can pretend at least to have a conversation with you and learn more about it. So tell me, is the demo environment, is that something that you manage for CYREBRO, for indirect partners?
Yeah. So product marketing has always owned the demo platform. It's different from organization to organization, but I believe it's something product marketing should own. I think it makes a lot of sense. Um, yeah, we originally built an in or not built. We had an in-house platform that we started with before we got to where we are today.
Mhm. Is it? Can you share some of the pain points around that in-house platform that brought you to Demostack?
Sure. So there definitely are pros and cons. Obviously, you can see where we fell because we tried a number of different solutions and landed with Demostack. But so for product-led companies, especially like Cerebro, with an engaging platform, it's really critical for us that partners can run demos for prospects. So we, like I said, originally had an in-house, we have a platform. We basically created a slightly more isolated environment that we could run demos on. um, the the benefits of that are you have a platform that really reflects, the demo platform one to one reflects the actual platform. So any updates to, feature updates, new releases are going to be reflected in the demo environment immediately, which brings us to the downside is that anything that's, if there are bugs, if there are tests that R&D is running, if there are any issues, those are also reflected in the demo environment, and you lose control and you don't have kind of a isolated kind of area to show prospects the great things about Cerebro, without kind of not hiding behind the curtain, but you release a new feature and there's, sometimes bugs and sometimes things you need to kind of work out the kinks a little bit. So we had a hard time with that environment only because I was not able to go in directly and make changes. Only like our R&D team was able to do that, and they've got enough on their plate as is. So to have marketing knocking on their door every other day saying, "Can you remove this test? Can you change this?" There's kind of gibberish text here and there. I need it clean. It really wasn't workable. Um, and then when we transitioned to be a channel focused kind of go to market, we understood that all of a sudden the use of the demo platform has grown exponentially. And so now you've got a lot more eyes on this environment that we've lost some control over. So I would say after about 6 to 8 months, we understood we needed a new solution.
Yeah, no, that's something that we see a lot with companies with just having a direct sales process, but all the pain points around a direct sales process with demos are multifold with indirect and working with channel partners. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned that you looked at a few demo providers. Maybe you could expand on that and what made was specifically interesting about Demostack.
Yeah. So we were looking, our platform is very interactive and dynamic. And the idea is not to have kind of like a dashboard, but we wanted something that, not wanted. Our platform is something that our users, they interact with and they engage with. So we needed something that not only looked like our platform, but acted like our platform as well. So we looked at a number of different solutions. A lot of them felt like beefed up screenshots, like screenshots with animations. And when we tried out Demostack, it was really the closest we got to our actual platforms, like the how it performs. It was like 95, 99% the same. And then that was like in the initial clone that we did, we got super, super close to the actual performance of our platform. And, on those calls, the team at Demostack said, yeah, sure, we can, the other things we can fix, no problem. We can help you with, this is how you would do it. This is how you would go in and do edits yourself. So it was really like a clear choice for us. I'll even say like our head of R&D joined one of the demos we did with Demostack and was like blown away that they were able to build something like this. So for me, that was a good indicator. So yeah, it was easy enough to clone, and the functionality of our platform was there. We didn't lose any of the performance or kind of how a user would actually engage with the platform, which is, like I said, was really important to us.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And then this is more of a partner question than a demo stack question, but like, why is it even so important to get partners to demo? Can't a partner just be used for distribution if you're anyways co-selling, and then they just have your sales team give the demo on their first call?
Mm-hmm. You could do that, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily the best way, especially with a product led company that really has a great looking platform that they want to showcase. We wanted to make our partner ecosystem an extension of our sales team. We wanted to train them how to sell, and selling means demoing the platform. Very quickly in the sales cycle, the end users actually see how the platform looks, see a demo of it. It was really critical that that was part of the sales cycle. So we needed a solution that we would be able to give not just to our sales force, but like I said, that exponential growth of all that additional concentric circle of partner salespeople. We needed something that they could access relatively easy. The process of generating tons of users, or kind of scaling out that demo environment, which before I would have to grant access to every user, and I would have to make sure they can see it and limit their kind of configure their user. And now I basically can give them a link and they're good to go.
Cool. Love that. I'm going to talk a few minutes, and some of these actually might be even announcements for you, Sarah, about something at Demostack that's really caught our eye. We've talked to Sarah, and we've actually talked to multiple of our customers, a multitude of customers who are using Demostack for partners, and swear by it in the sense of getting their partners to demo for the first time, or getting their partners to demo multiple demos. So there's actually our product team is actually working on creating the partners use case and making it more sophisticated and more interesting. So, for example, in the coming quarter, we're going to have bulk editing for multiple workspaces. So, for example, if you have 200 partner orgs, and each of them has 10 users, you're now able to, if your app updates and you want, or if you want them to show a different product, like let's say you have two different products and you want them to show multitude of products, you're able to, instead of copying and pasting into 200 different workspaces, you can just do it once. So it's like building these roles and demo governance for partners, which I think is unique in the demo space, that people aren't focused enough right now, that we see that's a real big pain in the environment. We've also seen that people are using Demostack, and I think we could actually talk about this, Sarah. You mentioned that one of the ways you know that people are working or are engaged is because they're submitting opportunities. Is that correct? Maybe can you give us a like 30 seconds about what that process is?
Yeah, sure. So basically, our partners, they have their own clients that they work with, and then they prospect for clients as well. So basically, they'll bring in a lead. They register in our deal registration within the partner portal, and then we see it right away. And then they have 90 days of exclusivity for that lead, and so we can see, the pipeline that they're generating. So yeah.
And do they start submitting that or registering the op right away when they start the sales process, or is it something that they?
Yeah, so they ideally they've gone through a qualification process. We don't want them just submitting or registering any old lead. They need to have shown that they have had, an initial communication with this lead. They've seen that there's interest. Ideally, they've gotten farther along, closer to a proposal. But there needs to be kind of like shown engagement with this prospect before they're registering, because then also at that point, that means that other partners who might be in that kind of geographic region or that space, they can't go after that same client, so they get exclusivity. But it also means that CYREBRO sales team is jumping in to help as well, and invest in this lead. So we want to know that it's been qualified up to a certain point.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. So that's one thing that we have some customers using Demostack for, is to get that visibility early on through the demo data. It happens to be through demo data, but the idea is if someone is demoing a product or your product, then it can be gated, or it can be through your user accounts, and they can actually understand, oh, this partner in Latin America demoed. Not only so I see that they're demoing before they registered it, and that can help me with forecasting. And I can also see what and who was demoing. And there, with that information, you can create like business insights, like, does this partner need more enablement? I see that they're demoing a lot, but they're not opening so many ops. Or is this, I noticed that this partner is only showing 1/3 of our product, maybe, but the partners that show thirds of our product, or all of our product that we want them to show, are winning. So let's bring that message to the C player partners. So I think
Mm-hmm.
we're seeing a lot of customers that are interested in getting their C players to be A players. So seeing what was the best demo given, and also seeing the visibility early on in the sales process.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would you mentioned that situation where kind of if partners are bringing in a lot of opportunities, but they're not closing, that's a huge indicator. That's been something that, if we had, you know, that kind of analytics or that kind of visibility, that would definitely help us kind of optimize and know where to spend our time, and which partners to invest in, and what to do, what not to do. So that would be that'd be great.
So yeah, so that actually, Sarah is happy to say is live as of recently, so we can work together on getting CYREBRO onto that part.
Cool.
I think the last two use cases before we answer any more questions, I see that there are questions, so that's awesome. Thanks for putting that Q&A, everyone. But tours for enablement and tours for marketing assets. So some use cases are that people are training their partners on what to demo and what to say when they're showing that specific feature. Maybe they want them to talk about the value and not the actual feature when they click on it, for example. So people are sending product tours, also called interactive product demos with some of our competitors. And they're sending that to the partners, putting that in the LMS, for example, so that they have that training. And then actually giving them a product tour to put on their website, so that they're happier, that they actually have more marketing assets, and that they feel like they can show the CYREBRO product from their website without even talking to someone. So the same way that companies are using product tours to talk about their product without getting on the phone, so now your partners can also do that pretty unlimited. So I'm going to go to the Q&A. Thanks, Dan, for your question. Do you give partners access to demo environments? How much control do they have to customize them?
Yeah. So they have, I don't know if it's necessarily the demo environment. We call it the demo environment, but they basically have the link to go in and run through a demo. At the moment, we don't give the partner users access to customize. It's something we've definitely talked about a lot with Demostack, because giving them users would then allow us to see a lot more of what they're doing when they're demoing, and have that kind of user level data, which would be really helpful, even if it's on an account level. I think that'd be really great for us. I think it's something that what we've done kind of in the past year is really understand that partner profile a lot more. So we have focus and kind of priority partners that we want to enable. So that, I think, would be a great place to start, by giving those partners who really know CYREBRO and they're bringing in deals, and we want to enable them, access to Demostack, and then they can further customize, and then that can be kind of a beta test for us to see if that's something that really drives value, before we kind of expand to the full partner ecosystem. So to create partner tiers in that way.
I love that. I think the way I look at customizing is like you have demo templates, like you have custom demo templates for industries or personas, and then you have that like extra flair of personalization, like logo, customer name, and then people feel like it's being talked to them, even more so because their information is within it. Love that.
For sure.
By the way, Sarah, if you want to also choose your, there's like 6 questions. They were like, if you want to choose a question that speaks to you more than other questions, I'm happy for you to.
Let's see. I'll let you pick the next one.
All
It's
right,
going to take
sure.
me a second to open up this the Q&A.
So April asked, have you started using syndicated content, at all with partners? Why or why not?
We haven't. It's really I would say just kind of a resource lack of, bandwidth reason. It's definitely something that we would like to try to work into this year. But like I said, we built the foundation of the partner program. We're identifying our kind of priority and focus partners, and we're understanding now how we enable those partner tiers that we break it down into. So that's definitely something that I think maybe towards the end of the year we can look into.
Yeah, makes sense. While you're looking for the next question, I'll address Taryn's question. How does Demostack compare to Pipedrive as a sales CRM to track and measure partner activity? I can't speak to Pipedrive, but I can speak to CRM or PRMs like Demostack's goal isn't to replace your partner relationship management portal or your classic partner portals. Our goal is to give you sales or like deal activity intent within the demos, and then let you double click into that and see like how people are demoing and what they're demoing and who they're demoing to. So it can tell you, for example, um, who is being who's showing a demo and how many demos were shown in any time frame. But I'm sure that, but it's not a classic CRM that you can put first name, last name, how many times were they contacted, what did you email. It's Demostack isn't a CRM. I would look at it more as a sales enablement platform in that context for visibility. And we integrate within like Salesforce and HubSpot, so then you can start making those business insights connections. Oh, they did this demo, and that was the demo that won. And we've seen that people that did that type of demo had a higher percentage of winning than people that did that type of winning demo. So that's kind of the context there. I hope that makes sense. If not, feel free to chat.
There's a question here from Ryan where I kind of touched on a bit of it, and I'll go into more detail. So he says, do you have partner tiers where more support enablement and or engagement from CYREBRO resources is available to the kind of larger or more important partners? How do you determine what the base kind of good enough level of enablement is for new partners to get started and I guess incentivize them to grow? It's a great question. It's something we have still been kind of figuring out over the last 2 years and experimenting with different things. Initially, we wanted to set up partner tiers, like actual partner tiers that were external facing, silver, gold, platinum, something like that. We have it somewhat defined internally where we think we would go with that, but initially our partner program or kind of the ecosystem wasn't mature enough to define it like that. But we're getting to the point now where I think we're going to release partner tiers at some point soon. We have sort of like internally, definitely the partners that we focus on more. We identify them sort of internally as like focus or priority partners. These are partners that have, X amount of opportunities. They've generated, X amount of pipeline potential revenue over the course of, 1 month, 3 months, whatever. We have, there's a lot of ways to measure it, but there's also a lot that's qualitative. So I would say, at least for our focus partners, there are criteria like, they need to have a marketing person kind of on the other end if we're going to enable them with like co-marketing, because a lot of it is sort of like it's like the chicken or the egg. Like if the partner's not going to really start selling unless they see that you bring them leads. But you don't want to focus, or sink a lot of your resources into that partner until you see that they can generate leads. So it's like, there's always a push and pull of, how much do we feed them leads? How much do we expect them to bring X number of leads in the first, 90 days they're selling? So, criteria like they went through the onboarding process, they went through the sales training. We then will sometimes do an offsite, or rather an on-site, offline on-site sales training where we'll actually send one of our, salespeople to their organization for a day or two and do more in-depth training. We have spiffs and incentives that we incentivize their salespeople with, like we will offer them, either discounts or kind of, they're called spiffs, but sort of like bonuses if they bring, an X number of sales in a certain period of time. We run kind of like contests to see who can bring in, the most leads. So there's definitely ways to incentivize them. Financially is usually the best. That's what speaks to them. That's their bottom line. That's why they're partnering with us at the end of the day. It's, a business opportunity for them. So we're still really in the process of understanding the best way to define the partner tiers. But then, yeah, we will give, there'll be different levels of support. They'll have access to bigger co-marketing budgets. It's called MDF. So it's market development funds, which we essentially give them X amount, whether it's, they get 10% or 5% of the revenue that they're driving for the year. We'll give them 5% of that kind of in cash to run marketing events to generate more leads and prospects for CYREBRO. So there's a whole range things that you can do. I would say something that we struggle with, this is a long answer, sorry, is really setting up those measurable criteria from the get go. Sometimes you change them, sometimes you understand there's certain KPIs for partners that don't work so well, but the more you're measuring their engagement and activity and the sales they're bringing in, and the more you can compare it to other partners, the sooner the better, because it's giving you a measure of your success and your potential success for the course of the year. So that is something I would recommend.
Cool. Love it. Well, I think if you have any other questions, Sarah, what's the best way that people can reach you?
You can definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn. Send me a message. I will respond. Happy to connect. Happy to hear suggestions for people who have built channel programs and work in channel marketing, or have more questions. I'm happy to share more detail about partner portals we worked with, stuff that worked, stuff that didn't. So feel free to reach out.
Yeah, I love it. And if anyone has any suggestions, this was actually our first time doing a webinar that wasn't mostly about Demostack, but was about the whole motion. So thanks, Sarah, for being on that journey with me. I
Sure.
hope it brought value. It must have brought value. I learned a lot. And from the questions, it's clear that people were interested. And so let us have any feedback. And if you have any questions about the partner use case with Demostack, obviously reach out. So to wrap it up, thank you so much, Sarah. We really appreciate you as a customer and as a new friend. And I'm looking forward to continuing that relationship and continuing the Demostack relationship. And thanks again for joining and teaching us.
Yeah. Thank you. Happy to join.
All right, perfect. Thanks.
All right.